Dumb Husky and his white cat SHIZUN. Extra chapters. SHIZUN'S birthday. Fighting for affection, Part 1. This was Chu Wanning's second birthday since they have secluded themselves in Nanping Mountains. The first one last year was extremely regretful and absurd. That was because at that time, it was Taxi and Jun's turn to take control of their body. Though Grandmaster Mo could not recall exactly what he had done when Taxi and Jun was in control, he could still remember bits and pieces of it. Taxi and Jun was a crude person who believed that gold represents my heart. The man had no sense of romance. He simply believed that there were only two ways to express love. One was to sleep with him repeatedly. The other was to give him money. There was actually nothing wrong with this idea. Sleeping repeatedly with him meant that only Chu Wanning could ignite his desire in this world, and spending money on him meant that only Chu Wanning could move his purse. Although it was a bit crude, the Emperor can't think of any other elegant ideas, but still this would have been fine. However, the problem lies in the timing and execution when Taxi and Jun gave Chu Wanning the gold. The night of his birthday, Taxi and Jun made love with him again and again. Then the next day, he came back with 9 baskets of gold coins and put them in front of their cottage, making it look as if it was the other end of the rainbow. He waved his hand proudly and majestically as he announced, "Chu Wanning. This is this venerable one's birthday gift for you. Are you satisfied with what see? If you are satisfied with it." Whatever else he was about to say remained unknown, as before he could finish his words, Taxi and Jun had been pulled down on the ground by Tianwen together with his gold bars. Poor Taxi and Jun could not comprehend why he was being beaten like this, especially after the night they had together. He really had no other intention other than to give him his birthday gift. What's so wrong with giving him money after the steamy night they had together? Should he have given it before they went to bed, or should he have given it while he was sleeping? Should he have given it partially, one half before and the other half after? He sat on the stump of a tree in silence, wondering what he would do if he was the other man. After thinking about it for a long time, he thought that probably he wouldn't gift him the gold directly but use it to buy him something like soft and comfortable clothes, or maybe delicate and delicious dishes, new and interesting instruments perhaps. Thinking that if he did so, maybe Chu Wanning would be delighted enough that he would praise him accordingly. Too long-winded. Taxi and Jun thought indignantly and hit his legs secretly in anger. How cunning! How despicable! What a dog! Chu Wanning was also of opinion that Grandmaster Mo was an honest man. Bah! Only he knows what he really was. Grandmaster Mo's gentlemanlike behavior, full of flower and sweetness, was nothing but shameless behavior. What's wrong with gifting gold? Is it not good to gift gold? It's more direct and practical, right? Why can these people not see his heart of gold? He turned his back to the cottage where he lived with Chu Wanning and held his cheeks against his legs on the stump of the tree. After a long day of giving him the silent treatment, Chu Wanning planned to come out and talk to him again as signs of reconciliation. However, right at that moment when he was about to do so, sect leader Ma of Dobao Manor arrived unexpectedly, crying as he climbed up the mountain. As soon as he crossed their threshold, he hugged Chu Wanning's thighs and began to complain, "Grandmaster Chu, it's not fair." Grandmaster Mo suddenly came down from the mountain and emptied the gold out of 2 stores of my Dobao Manor. He said that his smile and praise are worth 1,000 gold. Chu Wanning, whose anger had just calmed down, flared up again in fury. That evening, he didn't allow Taxi and Jun to come inside the cottage until his personality switched to that of Grandmaster Mo. Later on, he made Mo Ran write the lines promising to never steal again for 3,000 times. It was quite the ordeal. With the last year's painful lesson in mind, Mo Ran was resolved not to be careless this time. Fortunately, SHIZUN'S birthday this year would fall on the day when Grandmaster Mo was in control of their body, so there shouldn't be any mishap this time. Though recalling some fragments of memory when Taxi and Jun was in control, he could tell that Taxi and Jun seemed to be preparing something for SHIZUN'S birthday this year as well. but since he wouldn't be in control on that day, he most likely wouldn't be able to create trouble this year. He probably only feared that Grandmaster Mo's gift would surpass his. In order to win Chu Wanning's favor, he would definitely want to compete with him. Grandmaster Mo is someone who believes that one's most difficult opponent is one's own self and therefore, not worried. In fact, he was interested to know what kind of birthday gift Taxian Jun was preparing that he thought would win SHIZUN'S approval. Birthday gift. In his bedroom at Shisheng Peak, Xuemeng stared at his unexpected visitor. Mo Ran was sitting across from the pear-colored table, fiddling with the teacups in front of him. He smiled and said, "Yes, what do you think would be the most appropriate gift? Who are you going to give it to?" "Someone who is close to me." Because Chu Wanning was such an aloof individual, he had never celebrated his birthday at the Shisheng Peak before. He never even told his disciples anything about his birthday. Then, when Chu Wanning and Mo Ran had started to live in seclusion at Nanping Mountains, Mo Ran relentless pestered him about his birthday until he finally relent and told him, but at the same time extracted a promise from him that he would never tell anybody else about it, especially Xuemeng. So naturally, Xuemeng didn't think to associate the question with Chu Wanning. After giving it some reasoned thoughts, Xuemeng couldn't think of anyone that would merit Mo Ran's regards this much until he had a sudden realization that his own birthday was approaching. Oh, could it be? Maybe. Xuemeng was startled by this realization as sudden warmth suffused his heart. The eyes that were staring at Mo Ran suddenly have a pleased glow in them. Mo Ran. Xuemeng coughed softly. Although he was rejoicing in his heart, he maintained his indifference and unaffected appearance. He calmly said, "When it comes to birthdays, the important thing is that you wish them the best with all your heart. The actual gift giving doesn't really matter." Mo Ran said, "Of course it matters. I have to give him something, after all the relationship between us is special. I can't give him just anything. It has to be something exceptional." "What a shame, I don't really lack anything either." Mo Ran was slightly startled and asked, "What?" "Ahem. I meant, they probably don't necessarily lack anything. It's one thing whether he's lacking something or not. It's another thing whether I give him something or not." Xuemeng's heart was even more touched. Mo Ran's secret is now out in the open. He was unexpectedly such a considerate brother. It was really heartwarming. He had to exert quite the effort to keep his facial expression calm and to keep his demeanor indifferent. He murmured, "I see. Let me think about it." "All right. How about the new set of golden and silver silk green feather robes from Fei Yun's Eye near Jiangdong Hall?" Mo Ran. That robe was decorated in such a way that it glitters like a peacock's feather. He couldn't imagine how they would look on Chu Wanning. Mo Ran went silent for a moment as he deliberated on how to tell Xuemeng that it wouldn't suit Chu Wanning without giving offense, and came up with, "But that's something that would only suit you." Xuemeng, yes, isn't that right? Nah, think again. Mo Ran didn't have the heart to point out that Xuemeng's taste in clothing was atrocious, and so he just said, "Though the clothes from Fei Yun's Eye are good, they are not the best. Help me think of a better option." Xuemeng's eyes opened wide as he said, "Oh, this is so embarrassing." Mo Ran. "Ahem, I meant, it's all right. You don't have to spend too much." Mo Ran replied, "A birthday only happens once a year, there's no need to be frugal about it." Upon hearing it, Xuemeng's heart was so full that he had to lower his head and fought to keep his composure for a while. Then, he raised his hand and patted Mo Ran's shoulder vigorously. "Don't worry about anything, brother. I'll remember everything you said today." Mo Ran. When Mo Ran left the Shisheng Peak in a cloak to conceal his identity, he left without getting any inspiration from Xuemeng. The only thing he got was puzzlement on how strange Xuemeng was acting today. Xuemeng seemed to be excited, happy, and overall being emotional for some reasons. Despite his obvious effort to restrain it, he still didn't manage to hide it well. Was it that stressful to be a sect leader? He should remind himself to send a letter to Elder Tanlang to give Xuemeng a thorough examination in order to treat whatever illness Xuemeng was coming down with. Alas, Xuemeng's life was really not easy. In the next few days, Mo Ran visited famous buildings and shops in Changjai Market and checked out all kinds of exotic treasures. Not that the treasures were bad, but he thought they were either too vulgar or too outrageous or too ordinary to represent his loving heart. He wanted his gift to be a tangible representation of his dedication that would make Chu Wanning eyes see how much affection he held for him. Is there anything good enough in the world that he could give to Chu Wanning? He was getting a little anxious. Desperate for gift ideas, he ended up buying a book about different ranking lists in the cultivation world. The bookseller boasted that it contained a detailed list of all the remarkable gifts that distinguished figures in the cultivation world have received in the last 30 years. Whether the bookseller was telling the truth or not, Mo Ran bought the book and read it studiously. Nangongsi once gifted Ye Wangzi with a handkerchief that was embroidered with ro on one corner. Rong Yan once gave a quiver pouch to Nangongsi which was handmade by Madame Rong herself. Reading about these matters about his old friends, he could not help sighing as his eyes became slightly dim. Ye Wangzi spent the past years wandering around the world all by herself. After she was done with her traveling, she planned to save money and open a small school in Linyi in the former territory of Rufeng sect. It was said that many years before Nangong Zhengying founded the Rufeng sect, there was a noble lady in Linyi who opened a school and taught its students the 6 virtues and 6 arts. Nangong Zhengying was supposedly the last students of that school. Later the school declined and Nangong Zhengying merged the school within the sect that he founded. Based on the teachings taught by that noble lady, Nangong Zhengying created the 7 precepts of the Rufeng sect and spearheaded the sect's glorious history in Linyi that lasted for hundreds of years. Now, the 72 cities comprising the Rufeng sect have all collapsed and the sect has lost its former brilliance. However, the sect have at least retained a kindling in the form of the gentleman Ye Wangzi who had inherited the former school. Perhaps hundreds or even thousands of years later, it will revive its former glory. Mo Ran shook his head and read on. Nangong Lu once gifted Qi Liangji a robe decorated with phoenix and peony with silk belt. It was embroidered with golden thread at the corners imbued with spells to ward off evil spirits. It was said that it was so he could tease her with "You should take off such beautiful clothes." After reading such words, Mo Ran went stiff and felt a strong urge to vomit. He disliked it so much that he rapidly scanned through the pages. Gifts during Rufeng sect rituals. Gifts to Guyu Yet. Female disciple Zhao Tiantian gifted a pair of jadeite buckles to Zhang Yuchen. Female disciple Zhou Yanyan gifted Zhang Yuchen a Fenjia folding fan. Female disciple Zhang Chunzhen gave Zhang Yuchen a golden stove. There were more than 40 pages of gifts for Zhang Yuchen alone. At that time, Zhang Shi was not yet the sect leader and yet he had already received this much gifts not only from different female disciples but also from various thoughtful martial brothers and sisters. Mo Ran couldn't help but fell into a contemplative thought. Zhang Shi didn't make his fortune using his beauty, didn't he? He turned the pages again until he came across the line that said, "All the above listed gifts were thrown away by Zhang Yuchen." Oh! He misunderstood. Zhang Shi was really a wonderful person. After reading for a long time, Mo Ran still couldn't find any inspiration for a gift. Instead, he found out that Mei Han Shui recently brought Xuemeng a box of Tianshan Snow Lotus which was said to be good for the brains. Snow Lotus was a good thing but Shizun was already too smart. He didn't have to consume it though. It would be even more appropriate to plant it in a pond. Unfortunately, Chu Wanning was determined to live a simple life after his retirement. He didn't like extravagance at all. Otherwise, the whole Nanping mountain would have turned upside down by now with how much crazy ideas Taxi and June have for it. How would a pond fit if there were only 2 small houses and 1 yard? Mo Ran sighed and closed the book. It just so happened that it was already dusk and the soft orange-yellow light was shining through the silk paper of the windows. Today, Shizun had paused in whatever he was writing about to prepare dinner. It was probably ready by this time, as he could hear the clashing sound of porcelain and jade before he heard him called out, "Mo-ran, come and help me." "Coming, Shizun." Mo-ran's reply echoed through the deep bamboo forest in Nanping Mountain, which was now flowing with the taste of his favorite food. It is not as strong as hot pot, but it could bring about one's inner peace and gentleness every time, just like the surface of still water. In the kitchen, a small yellow and white dog that they have adopted last year came out, bumping him and helped Chu Wanning to urge Mo-ran along. He circled around him twice, rolling out its tongue and turning around, all the way to lead Mo-ran. "Move the table to the yard and wipe it down. Then put out a small jar of wine." Chu Wanning stood in front of the stove. The wooden pot cover had been put aside. The inside was full of rolling round wontons, thin and white wrapper filled delicately with seasoned meat stuffing, waiting to be scooped into the bowl and to be sprinkled with red and bright spices. Through the steam coming out from the pot, Chu Wanning casually asked, "What book were you reading outside? You seemed to be absorbed in it." "It was just casual reading, Shizun." Mo-ran laughed and rolled up his sleeves to move the wooden table. As soon as he exerted his arms, his muscles bulged, making the meridians prominent and distinct. Chu Wanning frowned and said, "Read more good books. I heard that a lot of absurd books have come out recently. Don't bring back such trash reading materials to Nanping Mountain. There are many wooden spirits visiting here. Some wooden spirits are still young and impressionable. It's not good for them to learn from such questionable sources." Mo-ran smiled and said, "Yes, Shizun." Moving the table, he sent it outside to the jubilant yapping of the puppy. During the meal, Mo-ran ate and bit his chopsticks. Meanwhile, the puppy, which was squatted beside the table, was gnawing on a bone between its fangs. Chu Wanning looked at the man and at the dog. He thought that the man and the dog were very much like each other, with just the wooden stick and the bone being the difference between them. "What are you thinking about?" he then asked. Mo-ran came back to his senses and replied, "Ah, Shizun. I'm just thinking." "Yes." Mo-ran couldn't find the words to continue. Of course, he could not ask Chu Wanning what he wanted. First, Shizun would not tell him. Second, even if Shizun did, the element of surprise would disappear. It might result in the same reaction as Taxian Jun's 9 buckets of gold. So, Mo-ran tried to think of a more tactful way to put it and asked carefully, "I don't know much about having a house. Is there anything else missing? Does Shizun feel that there's anything else we need to acquire?" "No, everything we have is adequate," Chu Wanning said. "Ever since we got Gotu, it's not so quiet anymore. I don't think we are in need of anything else." The Gotu he was talking about was the puppy. After it finished gnawing the bones, it came closer and lay upside down and bit on the edges of Chu Wanning's robes. It was naughty by nature, but when they first found it, it was dying. Chu Wanning nursed it back to health and it had lived with them since then. For a long time, it liked to go to the cottage to flip the tiles and skip around. Chu Wanning didn't like that, but in the end, the puppy was still spoiled. The edges of Chu Wanning's robes had been gnawed, but even if he scolded it, the puppy refused to let it go. It would only wag its tail happily. Mo-ran asked, "Would you like to expand the house a little? It would take a lot of work and something I'm not looking forward to." "I'll do it all by myself," Mo-ran argued. "It's noisy enough here, you don't need to add to it." Chu Wanning raised his eyes slightly and stared at him and said, "It's better to save the money than to spend it building another house. After all, there's just one dog here, then you and me. We can live in one house, you and me, and Gotu can live by himself in another. Then it may wander to the point where it won't know exactly who it belonged to." "Pooh." Mo-ran looked down, smiled and asked, "Dog, what do you think? Me and Shizun would squeeze into one room and we'll build one just for you. Where else would you find such considerate master?" The yellow and white Gotu looked at him with slanted eyes as if trying to say, consider it my ass. You just want to squeeze Chu Wanning inside the room to your heart's content. You shameless dog. There's no result on this venture as well. There were only a few days left before Chu Wanning's birthday. After Chu Wanning went to sleep that night, he put his hands behind his head and stared at the roof beam for half the night. It was a good idea to renovate their cottage to be more beautiful and comfortable, but that needs more land. What about another house? Would it be better to search around for some exotic treasures, armor or maps? What about building a library? Build a workshop for SHIZUN'S golems. Build a treasure house. Forget it. If he really thought about it, he knew that SHIZUN will not be happy with anything like that, as he would think it was a waste of money, plus building another structure meant troubling SHIZUN to take care of its upkeep. While feeling disappointed, he suddenly heard strange noises coming from outside. Moran was immediately on alert. Gaotu. Is there something wrong? He turned his eyes and saw the sleeping yellow and white puppy curled up in the corner. He immediately dismissed the idea. Is it a burglar? But the place where they were was surrounded by a barrier. Except for Xuemeng and Ma Yun, who, if he had received the message and could go in and out at will, no one else could enter easily. Unless it's not human. The intruder was very quiet, but it could not escape his senses. It seemed that something was quietly approaching their residence. Moran held his breath and sat up quietly and went to look out through the window. He could hear the thing near the cottage. Then, as quietly as possible, it knocked 3 times. It's the middle of the night. Who would come up Nanping Mountain and knock on their door at this time? End chapter. Dumb Husky and his white cat SHIZUN. Extra chapters. SHIZUN'S birthday. Fighting for affection, Part 2. Moran quietly got off the bed and as quietly as possible pushed the door open. He saw that the wooden door of the courtyard was slightly open as the wooden door swayed slightly. A white, chubby, and soft tail with a blue light flashed past. He thought he must be seeing things. After all, he had never seen such a thing even after staying in Mount Nanping for so long. What sort of creature it was? He wanted to chase after it, but before he could take a single step, he noticed that there was a green lotus leaf outside the door. In the middle of the leaf was a palm-sized wooden box. This is... He gingerly picked up the lotus leaf. Somehow, the lotus leaf emitted a faint scent of SHIZUN'S fragrance. On it were a few words written in a very chubby and childish calligraphy. Happy birthday to the esteemed immortal Divine Wood. We would be honored to be of service to you. On behalf of the village of the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster. Moran opened his eyes so wide that they almost fell to the ground as he thought. What? SHIZUN'S rice cake monster really existed in this world? Didn't he just invented such creature to deceive Xuemeng years ago? It actually existed. He could not help touching his lips. Did the demon lord forgot to tell him that there was another hidden talent of the special kind of butterfly-boned beauty feast, such as magic lips or something? Otherwise, how could there really be such a white, fat little monster with a little blue light on its tail? Moran stood rooted on the spot for a long while. Although the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster ran too fast that he didn't manage to get a good look at its whole body, he had a feeling that it would be as he invented, round, waxy head with large lotus leaf on it. After a long pause, he returned to the house with the box. The room was quiet. Chu Wanning and Gaotu were both still asleep, undisturbed by the unexpected visitor that night. Moran walked close to Chu Wanning, who was curled up in his sleep. He gently covered him with the quilt. Then, he walked over to go where the dog laid and checked to make sure it was comfortable. Afterwards, he sat down by the table and began to carefully check over the small wooden box. He cannot sense any killing intent in it. The box was somewhat heavy, but it seemed safe enough. He tried to open the box, but unfortunately, he couldn't find any keyhole, and the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster didn't leave any hints that could tell him what to do. Moran couldn't help but frown and wonder, what on earth is this box for? Is it just an ornament? The puzzling thing was, the box wasn't even new. In fact, it was all tattered and didn't look very good. As if responding to his thoughts, as soon as the questions came to his mind, 2 lines of characters written in sparkling gold ink appeared on top of the small wooden box. "Greetings, Master, I'm a magic artifact from the Fey world. I'm a box of thoughts." Moran was startled and almost fell off the chair. "Is it a ghost? How could it have the ability to read people's minds?" "I'm not a ghost, I bring good tidings." New words continued to appear on top of the box and new golden characters slowly covered the previous ones. "I can only read the mind of the Master and not anybody else. It's too accurate. Scary." Moran exhaled a few deep breaths to calm himself. He looked back at Chu Wanning, who was sleeping peacefully under the cover of the quilt, and Gaotu, who was sleeping under its paws. After deliberating for a while, he lowered his voice and asked carefully, "So, I am your master?" "Yes, Master, I've been given to you." Moran has calmed down already but was still somewhat confused. "Aren't you a gift from the little monsters to my Shizun? It was altered upon contact with you." The characters in the box continued to fade as new words appeared. "We feel your strong desire to surprise the esteemed immortal Divine Wood on his birthday, but we also see that you have not been able to fully explore your options due to many restrictions, but you don't have to worry anymore. As long as I'm here, I can help fulfill your wishes and achieve everything you want." Moran pondered on its underlying meaning and slowly came to the realization. Could it be that his sincerity has touched the mountain spirits so much that they came to help him prepare the birthday gift? Yes, that's it. The small wooden box lost no time to display the 2 lines of shining characters, "Rest assured, Master. With me here, he will surely have a better birthday this year than what he had last year, come on." Moran recalled the 9 baskets of gold from last year, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "It's a bit more promising than that, but you shouldn't compare things to last year's." After his doubts were dispelled, Moran began to use this box of thoughts. According to the requirements of the box, in order to prevent it from being inadvertently activated by Chu Wanning or others before his birthday, Moran needed to set a password for it. Only when the password is pronounced correctly can it be activated. Otherwise, it will be just like the most common box and won't attract much attention. "Alright, set up the password to SHIZUN. "No, it's too simple. The box could be activated by mistake." The little wooden box paused, then displayed, "I suggest you set the password to 5 up to 10 words. "Alright, let it be." Moran thought for a moment and said, "It is foolish to gift gold." "That is acceptable." The little wooden box said, "It is foolish to gift gold is the password to activate the box. Would Grandmaster Mo like to use it now?" Moran naturally couldn't wait to nod and agree. In the instant he accepted, a dazzling white light flashed in front of him, forcing him to close his eyes instantly. When he opened them again, he found himself in a vast new world. The place was similar to an otherworldly fairyland. He was in the mountains, there were flowing water and quiet springs. He was standing in a large open space with some wood piled up. It was cloudy with light red fog, the flourishing crabapple flowers were light and hazy, there were flying flower red petals chasing the running water, the place was quiet and beautiful. Around SHIZUN'S rice cake monster was sitting on a wooden stake, its tail with little blue light was swinging back and forth as it played by sticking its left paw to its right paw. Unexpectedly, it played too hard, accidentally sticking its claws tight together that it couldn't help but panic and tried to pull its 2 fat claws in the opposite direction, but it couldn't pull them apart. Moran went over and cast the separation spell. With a loud cry, the 2 claws of the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster were free again. It rolled around and fell on its tender belly. It sighed heavily in relief, and then raised a pair of mung-bean eyes from under the lotus leaf. "Huh. I was saved. Thank you, thank you. You're welcome. Is this the inside of the box? Are you in charge of the box?" He wanted to ask if it was a monster, but he thought that it might be impolite to do so. Instead he smiled and asked, "Are you the housekeeper?" "I'm not a housekeeper." The voice of the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster was soft and smooth, but it could be said that it was very contrasting with the tone of its tyrannical words. Is the landlord, you stupid. Moran was startled. "How could you swear at people?" The coolest of our village, the most simmering rice cake. If I want to swear, I will swear. Deal with it?" Good rice cake, not only could it swear but it was also articulate. This one was not the same as the shy and lovely SHIZUN'S rice cake monster that left the box. It seems that it was indeed the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster village bully. No wonder it was sealed in a box by the villagers, and other rice cakes didn't hang out with it. The lonely rice cake bully stubbornly raised its head and waist and stared at Moran, as if it was ready to meet his counterattack. It was meant to be an intimidating gesture, but Moran looked at its small, soft, white arms and legs. He paused for a moment and could not help laughing out loud. "Ha ha 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 ha." Moran reached out and touched its little head. "You're so cute." The SHIZUN'S rice cake monster straightened out the lotus leaf on its head which Moran had poked askew and became even angrier. "Don't laugh. Be serious. You will pay for this." "What did you say?" "I'm sorry, haha dash." Stop laughing. I'm warning you. Your destiny is now in my hands." Moran. He really didn't know that his destiny was in the dirty palm of an SHIZUN'S rice cake monster. He had to spend all his self-control to stop himself from laughing again. Well. Cough. Don't laugh. After some difficult negotiations, the tyrant rice cake and Moran finally reached an agreement. Moran mustn't laugh at it anymore, but it had to explain to Moran about the current situation. During their conversation, he emphasized that there are many rice cakes in their SHIZUN'S rice cake monster village and their personalities are different, but it was not because of his aggressive personality that he was locked in the box. Of our village, the best rice cake in speaking in human language, have a clear pronunciation and a clear distinction between death and death. So, I am the messenger who was chosen to communicate roughly with the humans. You're the messenger. Yes. You shrink, right? The messenger. Moran stared at it with its head held high and his chest puffed out with infinite pride. He held back his chin and couldn't help but laugh again. Why are you laughing again? Don't laugh at me. I have been learning verbiage for 100 years. Don't laugh. Laugh again and I'll throw you away. In order not to let the tyrant rice cake murder him, Moran used as much perseverance as he had used to resist Tianwen, and once again forcefully held back his laughter. Well, I won't laugh anymore, but will the messenger tell me how to use this box of thoughts? The tyrant rice cake twinkled its mouth, hugged its arms and squinted its mung bean eyes at Moran for a while. After seeing that he really stopped laughing, it said, plain and simple, the space inside the four corners of this box is different from the outside. Don't you want to build a bigger house for immortal divine wood with some beautiful flowers around it? Moran nodded his head and said, yes, but my SHIZUN thought it was too extravagant and building it would create too much noise, so he was not willing to do it. Never mind. In this box, you will not occupy the outside place, nor the fuck annoy your SHIZUN. Moran immediately interrupted it and said seriously, it doesn't matter if you didn't say the right words, but you must pronounce the word noise correctly. Note, supposed to be a pronunciation joke, chow, noise / noisy / so, fuck / saw, grass. The tyrant rice cake's small eyes turned around and tried his best to pronounce fuck. Noise. Fuck. Roll up your tongue and say noise. The tyrant rice cake's puffed up small face became more and more white, head tilted up, trying to spit out in a tortuous voice, grass. Never mind, let's move on. Tyrant rice cake, where was I? You were saying that I'm not going to take up space in this box, and I'm not going to make noise to annoy Shizun. But if I'm here to quietly prepare a birthday gift for my Shizun and renovate our cottage, I would need building materials and building equipment, not to mention flowers and seeds for the plants. He grinned bitterly and said, if Shizun finds out, I'm afraid it'll be a waste. Don't worry. The Tyrant rice cake said, you can use the things here rather than use the ones outsides. You can build a house, dig a pond, plant flowers and seed from the materials here. You don't need to buy them. All you have to do is exchange things with me. 4. Moran opened his eyes in surprise. Exchange? Yes. The Tyrant rice cake pointed to its stomach. Moran found that there was a natural pocket on its white belly. It was only because the pocket and its stomach were both of the same shade of white that it was hard to notice. The houses and plants of your people are not good or beautiful. Immortal divine wood is in harmony with our family's elements. You bring in the outside things and give them to me, such as clothes, flowers, clay figurines. I'll change them for you. But how do I know what to exchange? Well, it depends on your luck. But I'm very generous and kind, and I won't usually treat you badly. If you don't believe it, you can just die. It was trying to say give it a try. But when Moran entered the box, he was unprepared and was only wearing his inner robes. After thinking about it, he just took off whatever he was wearing and passed it to the SHIZUN'S rice cake monster. I only have this on me. What can you give me for it? The Tyrant SHIZUN'S rice cake monster took a look over at Moran's robes as he held them with its small claws. 4 received pieces of clothes, for reasons it has experienced a lot. After that, he looked back and forth several times, gazing at the tanned upper body. Needless to say, Moran's figure was naturally excellent, with a straight back, thin waist and muscled limbs, and a solid chest that was blemished with an old scar that will never disappear. However, the lines of his muscles contained wild sense of tension, which with one strong breath seemed to suppress the body's potential to develop lava. The Tyrant SHIZUN'S rice cake monster said, you have good wood essence. After that, it raised his inner robes and looked at it. I think it's possible to change the clothes worn by Grandmaster Mo that was suffused with good wood essence with. It muttered until its voice gradually faded. It stuffed his clothes into its white belly pocket and took its paws out again. Ah. Yes. 4. Moran stood up to look, saw that in its small soft claws laid glittering light golden particles. What is this? Heshu flower of the monster clan. I think you can exchange your clothes for these seeds of the Heshu flower. Here you are. You take it and die. Although the Tyrant SHIZUN'S rice cake monster always tells him to die instead of try, Moran was not going to laugh at it. He was very curious. He took the seeds and went to the open space in front of him, and the Tyrant rice cake followed him with a whistle. How do you grow it? Just drop it on the ground and it will. Moran did as he was told. Growing fey flower in the fairy territory was indeed extraordinary. As he sprinkled the seeds and waited without blinking, he saw how the open space glowed like a sea of light and silver waves as the flowers sprouted. Those flowers were golden like pole peony and silver like clove. They spread elegantly like waves, glittering like the night sky that was dotted with stars. What's more surprising was that in the center of each peony sits a female flower fairy holding a golden pipa, and between the stamens of each lilac is a boy flower fairy playing a silver flute. These little fairies, which were not big enough to reach the nail cap, all have glittering and translucent wings. They flutter their light wings between them, dyeing the flower field which is carrying melodious songs with dream-like luster. One inner robe can be exchanged with these. Moran was startled. 4 is verbose, 4 is generous. The Tyrant rice cake proudly pushed the lotus leaf on its head and continued, I'm the most beautiful and the best rice cake in our village. Moran felt a ray of hope shining into his heart, and he immediately said with excitement, just you wait. I'll be here a lot these days. I'll go out and think about what I can exchange with you. And he really couldn't wait to go back. But then he realized that he didn't know where the exit was. The tyrant rice cake turned its eyes and pointed to the path where he came from and said, "Run there, run for a while, don't stop until you got back." But listen, for Moran did not let him finish. He was so happy that he was anxiously trying to figure out what could he bring in and exchange with the tyrant Osman thus rice cake monster. Meanwhile, the tyrant Osman thus rice cake monster was still trying to tell Moran the conditions of the exchange, but the more hurried it spoke, the more it stuttered and couldn't find the right words to say, so it looked down to think. It took it a long time to say. For exchange is random. You pick something better and bring it in. Our Osman thus rice cake monster village especially likes the objects used by the immortal divine wood. I just gave you what for uses and lost in his pocket. Next time, there would be no such big bargain. For can't give everything away. Huffing and panting, it looked up as it finished its speech. Moran has disappeared. The tyrant rice cake stood in the middle of the flower field, stayed for a long time, scratched its head and murmured, "He run away so fast. Next time he'll bring sen." Shat, shat. When Moran opened his eyes, he found himself back by the table. But he did not sit still for a moment, feeling agitated, he fell to the ground. Ah dash. The movement immediately woke up the dog lying by the hearth. It suddenly stood up and began to bark all at once, "Wan wan wan. Shh. Don't get me in trouble, Gautu." Moran quickly ran over to hold the dog and touched its head. "Don't make noise, another noise will wake up Wanning." "Woo. Wan wan wan." Moran was trying to shut the dog's mouth by holding its head when a slightly tired and impatient voice languidly sounded in the quiet night. Chu Wanning lay between the pillows, with half-closed phoenix eyes, frowning at him. His voice was hoarse from being just woken up from his sleep as he asked, "Why are you fooling around instead of sleeping in the middle of the night?" Moran rushed to reply, "Wanning." Chu Wanning sleepily turned on his stomach and looked at him with a small frown on his forehead. He grew quiet for a while as if trying to determine if he was already awake or not. His eyes that were misty with sleep suddenly shone bright as his eyes widened. Very seriously he asked, "Why aren't you wearing any clothes?" End chapter.